Hello, I'm LugogTV, and this is my first PVM guide. I'm going to be teaching you how to not die less at the living blender monsters, also known as Ripper Demons. Here's what we will be discussing. To begin with, the only prerequisite necessary to die from Ripper Demons is 96 Slayer. No other stats or quests are required, but of course, the higher levels you possess in combat-related skills, the better. Protect from melee is a must, but I'd hope that with 96 Slayer you'd have at least 43 Prayer. Otherwise, you probably didn't obtain that 96 Slayer through traditional means, but I wouldn't tell.
Hey everyone! Guess what?
You can access Ripper Demons in their cave located under the Abbey of St. Elspeth Cytherid. You can get there by leaving Elcrid to the east, then climbing down the ladder immediately outside of the gate, or the alternative route through the desert, which nobody does. Be careful entering the cave though, as upon entry a Ripper Demon may become aggressive to you and attack unprovoked, so ensure that you know what you're doing and are prepared for combat before entering the cave, as you may not get the courtesy of potting up and the like otherwise. I recommend gearing up for melee combat, as you're forced to fight them face to face anyway. Magic and ranged combat works if you know what you're doing, so maybe you could transition into it after you learn the workings of Ripper Demons. But for this guide, we'll stick to melee combat with Revolution activated. Equipment wise, you'll want to focus on defense, as the Ripper Demons hit hard and frequently. I optimized a setup for myself that minimizes the cost of item retrieval in the case that I die and can't make it back to my grave marker in time, risking only around 60k. On screen you'll see my setup being a Slayer helmet if on task, or a Saradomin Warpriest helmet otherwise, an Amulet of Glory, believe it or not, a skill cape, the Tyranwind Quiver, superior Tetsu body and legs, Dark Light and an offhand chaotic longsword, Saradomin Warpriest gloves and boots, an Asylum Surgeon's ring, a Penance Aura, and a superior Vampirism Scrimshaw. Please note that I've made this setup to protect from the risk of having to shovel large amounts of money to retrieve my items back from death, as dying is sometimes frequent, while the set is still being efficient. This setup along with my combat strategies is enough for me to sustain a trip at Ripper Demons, killing upwards of 100 in a single inventory. Feel free to upgrade or downgrade as necessary, but this is my setup and it works beautifully for me, which you will see later into this video. And inventory-wise, for any single trip I take 2 Holy Overload Potions, 14 Cooked Shark, 4 Infernal Urns, a Crimson and Blue Charm Placeholder, 100 Dreadnips, 100 Winter Storage Scrolls, runes to cast High Alchemy 50 times, and a pack yak carrying 10 to 15 Cooked Sharks. Does this setup seem a little too good to be true for you? Well, it's what I bring and what I wear. The only difficult items to obtain might be the Tetsu armor, Asylum Surgeon's ring, the Scrimshaw and Dreadnips. Again, feel free to experiment with replacing anything with whatever you have. The ring is nice as it offers great bonuses and sometimes saves the adrenaline used from a threshold, allowing you to use another immediately after. The Scrimshaw sometimes makes food completely unnecessary in and of itself. The Dreadnips, however, are extremely helpful. They stun and poison the Ripper Demons, making the fights much more streamlined. Truthfully, I'd recommend getting them from the Dominion Tower just in general, let alone for Ripper Demons. Get them, they're so cute. The Penance Aura also just ensures that you wouldn't need anything to regain prayer points. You can bring any aura of your choice just to remember to account for the lack of prayer points. And lastly for preparation, here's my ability bar setup. For basics, I start out with Sever, as it hits hard and reduces the damage they do by 10% for 5 seconds. Then Decimate, which also hits hard. Havoc, which hits moderately hard. Tuska's Wrath, which hits for 110% weapon damage while off task. Then lastly, Sacrifice to recover a little health. I also make certain to include Freedom somewhere, but that's to escape a bleed effect that the Reapers can apply to you. It isn't to be used otherwise. Thresholds include Slaughter, Destroy, Assault, Devotion, and Debilitate. I don't use any ultimates, but I have my food source, High Elk spell, and Deploy Dreadnip on my ability bar as well. Additionally, I have my Quick Prayer and Use Summoning Scroll keybound, so that I can use them as necessary. For advanced PVMers, feel free to further customize and optimize your ability bar, but this works perfectly for me. The fight itself is very straightforward. You engage a Ripper Demon in honorable combat. He then throws honor out the window as he mauls you with his claws to death, so you have to learn from your defeat and go back stronger through procured knowledge. Then they jump on you, instantly killing you.
Why are we killing these things again?
The Master Quest Cape? Right. Okay. But truthfully, the fight is actually kinda straightforward. You fight them as any other monster, but they have 4 attacks and a unique rallying mechanic. The first attack is their basic strike. It hits you 3 times, and without protection prayers, each hit can damage you for over 1,000 life points each. Their second attack inflicts a bleed effect on you. The amount of damage that the bleed deals triples if you move after it is inflicted. However, you can escape the bleed effect by using freedom, which is why I make sure to include it on my ability bar. They only do this attack if you are outside of their melee range. For this reason, you want to have freedom ready whenever you enter the cave, because remember, one may attack you when you first enter, inflicting that bleed effect. Their third attack is their ultimate ability. They jump into the air, leaving a shadow on the ground. If you're under or near the shadow when they land, you will be instantly killed. If you react quick enough, you'll always be able to avoid this attack, however. Still, this attack will be the only reason you'll die from Ripper Demons when you get more familiar with them. But remember to engage them after they land, otherwise they'll use their previously mentioned teleport ability and give you a bleed effect. And their last attack is simply, when they die, they'll become a blender, slicing and dicing anything that is adjacent to them. Just ensure to retreat from the demon immediately after killing it, otherwise it will attack you in your weak point for massive damage. The hinted at mechanic is a rally effect, which aggroes nearby Ripper Demons to attack you as well as the one you're already fighting if your health points drop below 50% or half of your max health. If this happens, exit the cave immediately, otherwise you will die. Click the link on screen to watch raw footage of me killing Ripper Demons to help further if need be. Before entering the cave, I drink a dose of Holy Overload, activate my aura, scrimshaw, and quick prayers. I then enter the cave ready to use freedom to fend off a Ripper Demon if one attacks me. Regardless if the demon attacks me first or if I engage it, I always immediately deploy a Dreadnought. I build up my adrenaline and use devotion, then slaughter, making sure to step underneath him to triple the damage from the bleed effect. I then use destroy or assault immediately afterwards to eat through the demon. Really, rinse and repeat until the demon dies. Just be aware of when they jump into the air and when to move. Again, watch the raw combat footage for more help. When you die, and you will die, you don't have to pay death to reclaim your items. You'll be able to make it back to your grave marker before it collapses. It spawns right outside the cave, safe from the demons, so you can grab it with no harm to you. If you disconnect or whatnot and can't make it back to your grave marker, death will hold on to your items for 24 hours before you're unable to retrieve them from him further. Of course, this incurs a fee based on the items you choose to save. When I die, I usually just summon another yak, throw him some food, run to my marker, reclaim my items, and just start over again. But do what you gotta do. On the screen, you'll notice the list of their potential drops. Their basic drops are stackable, and that which isn't, I either elk or send to my bank. So as long as I have food and charges for my weaponry and whatnot, my inventory never gets full. I bring urns for the infernal ashes because I feel so guilty leaving them on the floor, but alternately you can either leave them or store them for additional cash. Their significant drops are the 6 journals, which are a requirement for the Master Quest Cape, and the Ripper Claws, which sell for quite a pretty penny. The journals are 1 in 100 chance, which doesn't mean you will get 1 every 100 kills. I can attest to this, as I have almost 800 kills and only 4 journals. Just pray that you have better luck. They give just over 2,000 combat experience per kill, and an additional 712 constitution experience, while if on task, they'll also give just over 1,000 slayer experience and can be assigned by either Kiradel or Morvaran. Now you'll just have to give them a go yourself and see how you do. You may only average 10 or less kills a trip, which, if that happens, just keep at it. Especially if you're trying for those journals, you will eventually get better. However, this is my first PVM guide. What'd you think? Was there anything I missed or failed to cover? I don't want to make the same mistakes in another PVM guide, so please comment if there's anything else I could have included or even taken out. Thanks again all for watching. I really hope you get luckier with the journal drops than I am. Take care, and God bless.